All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're doing a deep dive into an absolutely wild collision happening directly at the border, where a massive geopolitical trade war meets microscopic edge AI technology. We are looking closely at the year-to-date headline news trends surrounding international trade out of Washington, and how a highly unexpected industry is leveraging artificial intelligence to navigate the chaos. So, starting off, we really have to ask a surprising question about the latest friction between Washington and Ottawa. When we hear about the USMCA, or USMCA as it's known up in Canada, and the looming threat of Trump's tariffs, we usually think about auto parts, steel, maybe agriculture. But as we unpack the current trade tensions, what is actually the most vulnerable commodity caught in the crossfire of this joint review? Believe it or not, it's garbage. Municipal solid waste, or MSW. Ontario ships a staggering 3.46 million tons of trash across the border to U.S. Michigan landfills annually. Just to put that into perspective, that makes up 14.35% of all the waste disposed of in Michigan. We are not just talking about a local trash pickup here. This is a highly integrated transboundary logistics pipeline that entire regional economies completely depend on. Here is our roadmap for untangling this complex web today. We'll hit the global garbage trade war, Ontario's capacity cliff, the 905 Woods sentient bridge, the edge AI compliance workflow, and finally, profiting from carbon dividends. Let's start with Section 1, the global garbage trade war, looking at the severe structural instability threatening the Ontario-Michigan waste corridor. So, looking at the recent reporting, waste has transitioned from a predictable, somewhat boring utility transaction into a highly leveraged geopolitical vulnerability. In February 2025, the Trump administration threatened heavy tariffs on Canadian garbage shipments. And even though the U.S. Supreme Court struck down those specific emergency tariffs in early 2026, the underlying structural security completely fractured in July of that year when the U.S. declined to extend the USMCA for another 16 years. Now, this multi-billion-dollar waste corridor is subject to a volatile annual review process. Its tariff-exempt status is basically hanging by a thread. Which brings us to Section 2, Ontario's capacity cliff and the border squeeze. This trade uncertainty instantly creates an urgent crisis for Ontario Premier Doug Ford and local municipalities. Under normal trade conditions, the baseline scenario shows Ontario's remaining domestic landfill capacity depleting by 2037. But if you factor in the squeeze scenario, meaning U.S. borders closed to MSW or massive tariffs make exporting economically impossible, Ontario literally runs out of places to put its garbage 3 years earlier, in 2034. And since building a new landfill takes about 10 years of environmental reviews and zoning battles, 2034 is essentially tomorrow in infrastructure time. And the pressure isn't just coming from Washington. It's coming from the state level, too. To further deter foreign waste, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer proposed aggressively hiking state landfill tipping fees from their historically low rate of 36 cents all the way up to $5 per ton. $5. The era of cheap, easy cross-border disposal is officially over. Let's move to Section 3, 905 Wood and the sentient bridge. So the crucial point is how the market actually adapts to these massive supply chain risk variables. You obviously can't just stop generating construction and demolition waste. Enter a fascinating case study, the 905 Wood digital refinery. Rather than fighting the geopolitical current, they act as what they call a sentient bridge. They take chaotic mixed construction waste and transform it into high-purity, verified feedstock for the pyrogenic biocarbon market. They are essentially decoupling from the traditional landfill model altogether to secure Ontario's industrial leadership in the global circular bioeconomy. And their strategy is perfectly summed up in this idea. Wood only isn't a limitation, it's the moat. By focusing exclusively on wood-only sorting, 905 Wood has turned a single material stream into a totally unassailable compliance moat. While mixed waste haulers are getting squeezed by rising tipping fees and intense border inspections, a highly verified, single-stream product sails right through customs because its origins and contents are completely indisputable. That leads us right into Section 4, the Edge AI compliance workflow and operationalizing the Pixel 10 Pro. But how do you prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that a dumpster contains exactly what you say it contains? You operationalize consumer hardware right in the field. The 905 WOD compliance gate literally uses a Google Pixel 10 Pro running Android 16. By leveraging the light RTAI stack features and the Gemma 4 visual model directly at the bin, this Edge AI setup classifies every single load in under 500 milliseconds. It ensures absolute confidence and catches visual fallacies before a truck ever attempts to cross the border. The digital refinery application workflow cleanly moves through these distinct phases. It starts with a simple request for quote. Then, it utilizes that Edge AI for verification directly at the bin. Boom! That instantly triggers the generation of a customs-ready certificate of origin. Finally, it ensures complete USMCA compliance and labor value content alignment. It generates these immutable blockchain-backed digital logs that will breeze through any border audit. The UI/UX output PDF documentation features are incredibly robust. You instantly get your Article 3 border entry mandates, precise receiving facility consignee metadata like York 1, for instance, labor value content certification, real-time environmental compliance logs, and API-linked traceability maps. It transforms what used to be highly vulnerable, easily forged physical paper records into undeniable digital proof of origin. If a border agent questions a load, the data is instantly available, flawlessly formatted, and completely indisputable. Finally, we arrive at Section 5, profiting from carbon dividends and decoupled billing. Because in this industry, compliance isn't just about avoiding fines, it's about unlocking massive revenue. Let's break down the economics here. Ontario is introducing an escalating CIR/CIL levy on waste. By 2036, mixed contaminated waste is going to get hit with a hefty $60 per ton levy. However, verified clean wood, classified as amber, is only $10 per ton. The AI's ability to lock in that lowest legal amber rate at the exact point of collection is a total financial game changer. So, what does that actually mean on the ground? Well, through this exact AI-driven separation process, contractors are securing a staggering $1,034 in Circle Levy savings on every single mothership load. When you're running a fleet moving hundreds of loads a week, we are talking millions of dollars in savings, simply because a smartphone on a dumpster proved the waste was clean. But it actually gets even better. Beyond simple tax avoidance, 905 Wood is generating brand new assets. By tracking real-time methane reduction via sensors and verifying that over 60% of this wood goes directly to a biohub instead of a landfill, they are minting verified data into liquid carbon dividend assets, or CORCs. They're completely transforming environmental remediation into a highly profitable liquid asset that offsets transboundary logistics costs entirely. As tariffs arise, borders tighten, and landfills rapidly reach capacity, it leaves us with this final provocative thought. If a microscopic AI on a consumer smartphone can secure the borders for the humble garbage industry, how will real-time compliance tracking completely redefine the future of all cross-border trade and the global circular bioeconomy? The future clearly belongs to those who can prove their compliance at the speed of light. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive explainer, and definitely keep your eyes on the data.